learning a technical skill is actually very easy.
So says Moytreyee Konwar, a director of learning and development at Cognizant. What if you could grow your team from the inside? And what if you had someone with decades of experience to guide you through it? This is Salinsky, and you've found it, Tech and Startups, the #1 channel for leaders in technology. Yes, this is the right time to hit that subscribe button and the bell to make sure that you stay up to date on tech and startups. In this video, you are going to get 3 components for growing your team from the inside and 3 tips for how to get started. There's no one better to learn from than Moy, who has years of experience in technology and learning and development. Her team of 33 reports advocate for the learning and development of 100,000 technology consultants. I'll let her take it away with the 3 components of learning.
There are too many players out there. You only have to Google and see what are the L&D, tool stacks, L&D tools, L&D technologies, what are the knowledge partner sites that are out there. What I'm showing you is an indicative example of probably only 1/5 of what is out there in the world today for any kind of learning and development. There are assessment platforms, there are labs, there are video platforms, there are social learning platforms, plus the big knowledge partner sites like Udemy, Coursera, Skillsoft, Pluralsight. The point I'm trying to make here is that learning a technical skill is actually very easy. Learning of any kind cannot happen without these 3 specific components. If you do not reflect on what you have learned just now, if you do not have a dedicated, focused practice around what you have learned just now, and if you have not had access to any kind of coach or mentor who's right now performing mastery in the area you're trying to learn, then you are never going to learn a particular area, for long-term retention at all. So any kind of learning has to have these 3 specific parts, and no amount of platforms or anything, any option you choose out there, if you do not employ as a learner these 3 things, you're not likely to learn. If you reflect, right now you go back, in 2 days' time, go back and think about, put some extra effort to recall and reflect on what were the key points that were part of this conference. Chances are that particular memory that you have now fed into is going to sit into your long-term memory. Yeah, and that is reflection. True learning happens at work when you apply it, when you have dedicated practice, when you reflect on it, when you coach and mentor others.
Moy is about to give us her top 3 tips for getting started, but first, I want to hear from you. Is Moy right? Does true learning happen at work? Type yes or no in the comments below.
Design experiences. Do not design content. As much as possible, anything that you do should be reflective of what happens in the workplace, so that they truly are getting the experience of on-the-job performance, what is expected out of them on the job. Learning can be lonely. You could actually do learning in groups. So implement as much as possible group learning, because that is how people actually learn on the job too. A lot of learning actually happens through peer learning. And few things that you could employ are hackathons, learning hackathons, world cafes. World cafes, the notion of world cafe itself is that, together you are wiser. Yeah, you could have communities of practice. You could have a React.js community. You could have, an Azure Stack community. People learn from each other. Recognize all forms of learning. Traditionally, L&D, we learn to actually project a metric saying that, hey, people have completed these many courses cataloged in our systems, and so you have a learning organization, or you don't. But the fact is, a lot of learning happens on the job. A lot of learning happens even outside the job. If somebody has been able to crack a thorny issue on maybe Lambda functions, going to Stack Overflow, trying it out on his or her own, and then makes a small nugget of learning out of it, and then coaches and mentors others who face the same issue, that also is an evidence of learning. So start recognizing all forms of learning than just looking at cataloged solutions.
You lead learning and development. You advocate for 100,000 plus of your colleagues in your company. So it's a big organization. And I'm wondering how that might be different in a smaller organization.
Wonderful. This is an excellent question. Again, I think one is, of course, the scale of operation. Yeah, I think when we think of 100,000, a lot of the elements that you have seen, reflection, coaching, and mentoring, dedicated practice, you will think of platformizing it. But when it becomes such a big organization, I think you have to invest a lot on putting up an infrastructure for some of these elements of competency development. You are at an advantage when you are in a medium size. Yeah.
We've gotten some fantastic insights on strengthening your team. But what about other ways you can strengthen your team? I've assembled an 8-page guide on the 4 quadrants of strengthening your team with key insights from more than 11 veteran tech team leaders. To get yours, grab the link below this video. I'm so glad you joined us today. If this video was helpful, give it a like. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so that tech and startup videos continue to show up in your feed. I'll see you in the other videos.